The Infinity Stones consistently remain some of the most powerful relics to be found in any reality, holding immense significance in several universes even after their destruction on Earth 616, and the culmination of the Infinity Saga. We know that Thanos of Earth 838 got partway through his quest to collect the gems, and their unification aided Infinity Ultron in becoming one of the most formidable entities in the entire multiverse. While we got vague allusions to their creation and formation throughout several chapters of the MCU timeline, there was never a firm explanation or origin story given to us about these ancient powerful relics, only tales passed down throughout the years. Odin seemed to know a considerable amount about the stones, as did Wong and the scholars of Kamar-Taj, but none of them were actually present for the creation of the Infinity Stones themselves. So what was the full origin story? How did these incredibly powerful artifacts and the rest of existence actually come into being? What's the full story, and does this apply to the MCU's depiction of the events? Well, today, watchers of the Marvel Multiverse, let's discuss where the Infinity Stones actually come from, and see who, if anyone, was the closest to discovering the truth in the MCU. Wong describes the stones as a result of the Big Bang, being forged amidst the chaos of the universe's creation, and this isn't entirely incorrect. In the comics, there is a being by the name of Nemesis, who was the first and only being in existence throughout the duration of her life. She drifted throughout the vacant cosmos at the dawn of reality itself, burdened with power that didn't have a scale to measure against it. Throughout her lonely existence, she attempted to tamper with the fabric of life itself, and in her tampering, created life itself by creating a second unnamed entity at some undefined point in the past. But since the concept of good or evil hadn't been fabricated yet, this unknown being became the first instance of an evil individual in the entire universe. Nemesis shortly thereafter had to kill it and return to her isolation. After eons of immense loneliness, Nemesis ultimately decided to end her own life. This shredded her body and mind, spreading her existence across reality, and being the event which led to humans calling it and interpreting it as the Big Bang. As a result of Nemesis's death, the universe of the second cosmos was born. The 6 fundamental forces that lie within Nemesis as a being became reality, and the nature of space, time, reality, mind, soul, power, and ego melded together and forged the very universe that we know. From here, life began to blossom and prosper across thousands of new worlds, each developing their own ecosystems, life forms, and societies within themselves. The remnants of these systems, however, were forged into the ingots known as the Infinity Stones, and these crystals contained the ability to tap into the essence of what they once represented. What's incredible about the stones is they became gateway artifacts that could channel their powers into these independent forces. But you may have noticed that the list above didn't identify 6 forces, it identified 7. Throughout the course of the MCU, we've been following the 6 Infinity Stones, not the 7, but there is in fact a 7th stone. The 6 main stones contain physical power, but the 7th belonged to Nemesis completely, and harbored the remains of her psyche and fragments of her consciousness that remained and were contained in this ever-elusive 7th gem. Due to this, the Ego Gem holds a special place among the 7 Infinity Stones in a way that the other 6 do not emulate. Primarily, the Ego Gem wields the most complete level of sentience that we've seen from any of the other gems. In the MCU, there are hints that the stones contain some level of sentience or consciousness to them, and even if they are not fully sentient beings, they are not completely insentient either. The Ego Gem, however, was partially malicious. This particular stone has a long history of embedding itself in the heads of its subjects and subjecting them to mind control, driving their actions like a parasite and driving them towards oftentimes unknown goals. A host would be subjected to mental supplementation, with their strongest personality traits merging with the motivations of the Ego Gem. While the whispers of a host's consciousness would echo in their minds, and they largely maintained their free will, their motivations were driven by the Ego Gem. While the Ego Gem wouldn't completely hijack a person's mind and pilot their actions, it would serve to influence them, whispering its motivations into their subconscious and driving their desires to the point of doing its bidding out of their own free will. But this brings up the question, however, if there are 7 Infinity Stones, then where is this 7th in the MCU? Where is the Ego Gem, and why haven't we seen it yet? This gem was hidden away in a parallel universe, in fact, known as the Ultraverse, and it was revealed that when the 7 gems are reunited, the primary 6 in the presence of the Ego Gem, that Nemesis would return to life. These stones altogether would serve to reconstruct the first primordial being who predated the universe. And so, after the discovery of the Ultraverse and the rediscovery of the the Ego Gem by Circe, it was decided that the gem would be destroyed. From here, the sentience was divided among the rest of the stones, which might explain why the stones in the MCU have a particular level of consciousness to them. It could indicate that Circe's adventure into the Ultraverse might have already taken place, and all of the stones may have received a sliver of the Ego Gem's personality before the MCU proper began its timeline. And this could be one of the many storylines in which the Eternals found themselves before the formation of the Avengers. Nemesis, however, would be unable to return without the presence of her Ego Gem, and without the rest of the stones, it's unlikely that she will be able to return to Earth 616. However, we are not now just relegated to 616. With the expanse of the multiverse, this is not only possible, but almost guaranteed that at least one universe out there has all 6 stones available to them, in addition to the Ego Gem, and they could therefore cause Nemesis to return. We just have yet to see it in the MCU proper. And if Nemesis does in fact return, she would absolutely be one of the most powerful and dangerous entities in all of the landscape of the MCU. But anyway, my friends, I hope you enjoyed today's look into the comic story of the Infinity Gems. Do you think that this has any precedence in the MCU proper? And do you think that we could ever see an entity like Nemesis make the jump onto the big screen? Do you think that Nemesis was the true creator of the Infinity Gems? And what are your thoughts on her story? And as a final question for the video, of the 7 gems, which one is your favorite? And if you could control and wield one, which stone would you ultimately select? As always, my friends, thank you so much for watching and supporting the channel. Hit that subscribe button to assemble and join our team, and I will hopefully see you soon.